युवा देश है। विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं। और ये मेरा साथ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट इज इक्वल टू इंडिया टुमारो।
Namaskar, I am Ravi Gupta. I am CEO of Elets Technomedia Private Limited, and I am also the editor-in-chief of our magazine called Digital Learning, which is focusing on innovations in education for the last 15 years. We also have been publishing other magazines called Banking and Finance Post, another magazine called eHealth, and another magazine called eGov. And we also have been organizing several conferences across the country and abroad for last 18 years. So Elets has been working across 20 verticals, ranging from housing to transportation to water to agriculture to education to health to banking and several other sectors. And today we have an eminent panel with us, which is going to discuss this topic of student placement adaptability during COVID-19, lessons learned in 2020. Now, as we are all aware that COVID-19 has disrupted the whole higher education ecosystem and also the whole employability and employment scenario, not only in India, but also globally. In this situation, how are our institutions, who are the backbone of providing our students higher education, dealing with this challenge of remote education, and now the challenge of remote placement and also remote employment, which is emerging. So it is leading to reinventing the overall business models of the industry. Work from home challenges are emerging. There is still COVID second wave happening in US or Europe. Luckily, India is right now in a better situation than other developed countries, and higher education institutions are opening right now, and many of the offices are also opening now. So I am going to request each of our eminent panelists to give your initial remarks for around 5 minutes each, and where you also introduce about yourself and your organization, so that our audience has a overall idea about your background. And we are live on our digital learning social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and also on our social media channel of World Education Summit. So around 1 lakh of the followers we have combined in these two social media handles. So let me request to start with Sahil Nair, who is a Senior Associate Director HR from KPMG India, to give your initial remarks, Sahil. Over to you.
Great. Dr. Gupta, thank you so much for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure being with all of you. Having said that, I think the last year has been a great leveler of sorts. And the reason why it's been a great leveler of sorts is because it was so unprecedented. We've had so many conferences and seminars where years ago we used to talk about VUCA, but we never really had a practical example of VUCA, right? At best, we would refer to what used to happen in the forces. But the common man or the civilian actually experienced VUCA with COVID-19. Be it the junior most colleague, be it the senior most colleague, be it a person who is a daily wage earner, or be it someone who runs a business on futures and derivatives. Every single person was on the same level, on the same plane. You may have the best of cars, but you couldn't ride them. You may not have a car, and yet you would be in your 10 by 12 apartment or in a 10-acre apartment. It was a complete leveler of sorts. But I think so, as a human race, all of us, not just in India, but across the globe, have learned one skill, if nothing else, which is the skill of resilience. The power to fight back, the power to believe that we are bigger than the virus, and of course, we will overcome this. And in the process, like they say, some people have lost their loved ones, some people have contracted COVID and are battling it, and some people have emerged a lot more healthier and successful post-COVID. But having said that macroeconomic environment and the diaspora, what does this really mean for the education space? Because that's the topic of today, and that's exactly what we want to see. What have we learned in 2020, both from a higher education standpoint, from a student standpoint, from a faculty standpoint? I think one thing for sure is disruption is the name of the game. What we believed used to be a sage on the stage to a friend by your side has now become a friend on Zoom, has now become a friend on MS Teams, has now become a session where professors are teaching, but students don't want to come on video. And you don't even realize if the person on the other side is even listening to you, or the student on the other side is sleeping while the class is going on mute because you can't hear the student snoring, or if there is a situation where the person really wants to learn, but mummy papa chilla rahe hain, so you're definitely getting pulled in all directions and you can't listen to the teacher very well. So I think disruption surely is the name of the game. As a human race, we've been very adaptable. But one thing that we really need to look into the future, and we have a lot of panelists here, so I want to be very conscious of time. But one thing that I want to say, as we welcome 2021 and put COVID behind us with this year, we saw Serum sending out their first batch of vaccines to various parts of the country yesterday. And as we put the virus behind us and all get vaccinated, I think lessons that COVID has taught us, be it in the academia space, be it in the corporate world space, we shouldn't leave behind. And therefore, what I really like to call, McKinsey coined it long back to say the new normal. I want to call it the neo-normal, N-E-O, which is, let's not go back to February of 2020, which is what we were then. Let's not remain hung up with what COVID did to us, but let's find the balance. And the balance of the new and the old, which is what I call the neo-normal. Dr. Gupta, back to you, but we'll talk more and get into the details as you go through all the panelists. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Sahil, and thanks for this new word, this new normal. So we have been talking about the new normal for a long time. So it's a good to have a new phrase, which is interesting. And let me request Dr. Jitendra Kumar Mishra Director of Jaipuria School of Business, Ghaziabad, to give your initial remarks. Jitendra ji.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, for the opportunity to interact with such an eloquent panel and also to speak to the larger audience on something that we have faced firsthand. We have learned a lot, and still, after all that, we are still curious because the story is not completely unfold, and that is the COVID journey. It has indeed been a great learning to all of us. It has been a great shocker because we all were moving in our own rhythm, finding and believing that this is how the life is, and we all have our comfort zone, we all have our priorities and beliefs. We had our own world defined very carefully to facilitate our comfort and convenience. But this single incident has brought everything to a different level. It has redefined the world, and no one has been left untouched. The great part is right from nature to the organization, from individuals to the communities. Each one of us has been touched by this great incident, this COVID, in one or other way. There have been certain reminders that life is being created simple, focus on the basics, remain intact with your value system, remain in touch with your colleagues, with your community, with your friends, with your family, and focus on your resilience at Sahil emphasize. Because if you have got these connects, these human connects, these relations in place, that build a net for bouncing back. Because uh, having disrupted or having shaken up is a part of life. It happens in one or other way, not exactly with this kind of magnitude and spread, but yes, each one of us have got some or other kind of shakers and shockers that comes in our life. So having this human connect, having the basics in place, being focused, connected internally, is one thing that we need to remain intact, and that gives bandwidth, that gives a kind of chance to bounce back, that makes us more resilient. That was one part. Another good part has been that we all have been talking a lot to revive nature and being sustainable and all. The pandemic has taught, stop doing the nonsense that you have been doing. The nature will take care of itself. So the nature has regenerated in a very unprecedented way, simply because we stopped our actions, we restricted our action. So that is another caution that we need to remember when we are talking of lot of great things as a kind of care and correction. Not doing many things itself is a great help. So we need to define what is necessary and what is not. So that line is there. If we come to our professional journey, the academics has been one which was, if I say, disrupted the most, it would not be an exaggeration. And it was the one which was very quick to respond and adapt. So both the side, if you see, because of the spread, right from a very young kid going to his play school to a great scholar working on his some very complex project, it has got something which was disrupted all across. But the academics has responded very quickly. They learned to deal with it, and they shown their open mindedness, which is one indication of learning. If someone is in a learning mode, he has to have an open mind, and one has to have an appreciation and acknowledge for any change that happens, so that he can acknowledge first and then deal with that. So that was shown by academics, and it was great that academics adapted to it, and its own way they try to explore alternatives and try to connect with everything to get the business going. And it was one part. Now the fine lines need to be understood, and once the pandemic is over or it settles, and we further connect and see that what has worked really well and where the gap will unfold. But that has been one part. We all had all our balanced classes for the trimesters online. The examinations happen online, and none of us were prepared for it. It all happened in a very short period of time and at a very fast pace. So that was one good part that reflected that despite such disruption, we are not going to go back or we are not going to give up. That was a good sign. And the best part was every single stakeholder, right from the students who has to face it, to the faculty members who has to facilitate it, to the parents and other stakeholders, institutions and all, they all were on same page without much of hassle. So this was one part that we learned, that if we are all open and ready to cooperate, the difficult things can be made simple. Uh, Apart from classes, that was a time when the students has to go for their internship, and the others were in the process of placements. That all got disrupted. Nobody knew how the things are going to settle. Organizations also were very cautious and very careful in extending the offers for the placements which has already happened. The offers got slowed down, so some of them got delayed, some of them got revoked, all happened. The internship, which were all set to go in person, set to be happening in person and in the organization, quickly started converting into online. And then the gradually the life settled and students accepted it, organizations facilitated it, and things continued. So with this disruption, students have shown a great flexibility and openness to learning. They accepted the online part despite having bandwidth issue and other things, because we had not prepared in terms of infrastructure and all. Organizations were also equally accommodative and kind of understanding that this is a different time and the challenges need to be addressed together. So we none of us were in a judgment mode. We all were trying to address the issues as and when they were coming, and it all has made the show going on. But there has been dent. Let me tell you that the overall placement volumes has reduced. Many of the offers has suffered because they were revoked. And one thing which is less talked of, the CTCs have gone down substantially. So that has been another part which was a big thing in this whole process. So that was one part we all have suffered and we have emerged out of it. Um, we will see that how we are coping up and how the things are moving forward. But in this all process, an equilibrium has been built. We have defined that there can be a different level of equilibrium where things can be done with a different assumption. It cannot be same competitive race pushing everything upward. So here, despite having competition, the things can settle differently. Maybe a lower salary, maybe a different kind of working hours and working mode, work from home and all. So these changes has offered altogether a new alternative of coexistence that we have learned. And I think this learning has to be respected. And as Sahil said, that new and old has to go together. I think that's the way forward. We need to carry on the good things that we have learned during this disruption. One is working from home. Second is having the flexi hours. Third is being more considerate to others' concern, being more empathetic, and also looking forward to have the respect for everything that is there around, so that this coexistence can sustain for a longer time and creates a better place for surviving together. So I will conclude my opening remarks and we will be open for discussion and questions. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Uh, Thank you, Dr. Jitendra, for highlighting the various challenges and how you addressed it. And you have highlighted the aspects of the placement and the various changes which are emerging in that arena. Let me request our next panelist, Dr. Arvind Kumar Sharma, who is the head of CRPC KIET Group of Institutions, Ghaziabad, to give your initial remarks. And I will request to especially if focus on the placements and the career and the overall changes you are seeing in employment and employability. Yeah, over to you. Please unmute Arvind ji.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for inviting us on this panel. So I think the COVID-19, what we have taught is the paradigm shift. The paradigm shift for the recruitment to the campus placements and how to attract the best talent for the perspective of a corporate. So the entire duration of last 8-9 months is been the paradigm shift from the perspective of corporate and students, both the sides. What we did in particularly, because all bad times are always give you the time to strengthen your skills, to 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 sharpen your tools, so that whenever we hit back to the target, so we are absolutely producing the results to all our efforts. So the time for the COVID-19 was very unprecedented, as been said by Dr. Mishra and Sahil. So it was challenging for everyone, right from student to the professionals, those who are already working for last 20-25 years, to the employers. So while students are worried about how to land their dream jobs, and employers were worried about how to find the right talent, so the technology is something which has come as the rescue to survive for last 9 months. As into the introductory video of 2011, our Honorable Prime Minister said, IT plus IT is equal to IT. So information technology plus Indian talent is India tomorrow. So that is all which we have learned under this COVID-19. And we have certain points we'll would like to share with the audience. So what and how we have done it. So the placements are so far good as in the normal times. So, in my perspective, under the COVID, it was a paradigm shift and the time to sharpen and hone the skills for the better future.
Sure,
Yeah,
Arvind
thank you
ji.
so much. And then we'll discuss in
Thank you.
detail.
Sure. Thanks for highlighting that IT came as the rescuer in this situation, and glad to hear that the effect on the recruitment has been less according to your perspective. So let me move over to Sri Rakesh Kumar Singh, who is the head of the Career Services Cell at the Bennett University, to give you a perspective. Rakesh ji, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, at the outset for providing me this opportunity to speak on such a relevant topic. And I'm glad to be a part of this August gathering. So while we all agree that this pandemic has created an unprecedented crisis for all around the globe, in fact, and it has brought significant challenges as far as social and economy is concerned. And the higher education space is no exception. All universities have been forced to think quickly about its impact on not only the most important piece in the university system, the outcome, which is the placements, but also on the students' enrollment and teaching and learning methodology. So while this period of uncertainty that lies before us will undoubtedly require rapid tactical shift in the campus hiring strategy, the changes which has been brought about due to the market conditions, we all need to revisit the fresher hiring strategy which we all are following, equally from the important stakeholder, that is the recruiters. Now it is the time to adopt an agile approach that starts with deep understanding of the market requirements and to degree to which we will be able to handle this disruption. So while this global pandemic is accelerating, and there are some positive news which is coming out, as Sahil mentioned, we We have test run done. The vaccine is getting deployed. But still, the IMF has already predicted that the global economy will shrink by not less than 3%, which is almost 30 times what we had seen during the 2009 Great Recession. So while we create, short-term tactics, we must also develop long-term strategies for designing, managing, and the expectation of both the students and the recruiters. And as Sahil mentioned, the key to accelerate and bounce back could be summed up in a single word, which is resilience. And resilient institutes, organizations are the ones who are proactive, who are digitally enabled enterprises, and that can respond to this changing conditions through agile processes, infrastructure, and strategic partnership will only prevail. So my sense is that we need to quickly adapt to this current situation and move forward. And in this, the most important stakeholder, student, is suffering a lot. We have seen, offers getting revoked after the joinings being delayed, which has caused great discomfort to students and the institutions. So hopefully, I would also look forward to some solutions during this discussion, and the best practices adopted by the fellow institutions in facing these challenges. And I would also like to equally understand from Sahil, what is the perspective of the corporates towards this. So thank you so much, and look forward to the whole event.
Thanks, Rakeshji. Excellent point about resilience. I think you have re-emphasized this whole aspect of resilience, which Sahil started with, and that is the core. I think on which all the organizations have to look at that. How do we build a more resilient organization, resilient institutions, and resilient placement strategy also? How do we create those resilience aspect in each of the work we are doing? So let me request Gayatri Raut, who is the head of the placement training and alliances of Centurion University of Technology and Management, Odisha, to give your perspective. Gayatri.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, and good evening, all. Obviously, as everybody said, it was really a difficult time, but as it says, like change is the only stability of life. So when we fall into certain difficulties or we come across issues and problems, then only we get into a lot of solutions. Undoubtedly, as the biggest university, we had lot of courses running behind, and summer, that is March, was a time when a batch of 2020 was about to graduate and a batch of 2021 was about to come to the final year. So preparing one batch and the other, and ensuring the placement offers to be secured for the other batch, was really a headache, and we all were no doubt scared. But within 1 week of time, with the help of our founders, vice chancellor ma'am, registrar ma'am, we quickly adopted the online method of teaching as well as preparing the students. Now when there was one pandemic, other side government had put lockdown and everybody was at home. So as you know, this in Odisha there are a lot of regions where network availability is poor, and getting all the students into online, preparing them, ensuring the network connectivity is proper throughout 1 hour or 2 hour of session was really a bit of difficult. But I guess around April month, everybody adopted the same method. Yes, we have to do it. It is like, if it is important to find out if you are ready, then you will find out a way, and the best method is the online method. Even AICT has come down with a policy of internshala. Internsala has really affected lot of people's life by providing many opportunities. And at that point of time, when everybody was scared how we are going to have a summer internship, or uh, for any first year or second year kid, it was like an internship in the mid of semester, how he or she can adapt to it. And nobody was aware when the lockdowns are going to be like unfreezed, and when the life is going to be normal. So immediate help came down from Internshala, and we are really grateful for them. Around 200 plus students got into a lot of opportunities through Internshala. And how did it help? Like for one student, it was like 2 to 3 internship, and at one go they can complete it. Similarly, recruiters, we obviously are really overwhelmed that no doubt it got delayed by 2 to 3 months. But yes, students' job offers were secured, and initially, it was really difficult to convince parents as well as students that why there is a bit postpone in their job offers or in their joining letters, and when they can go. Even after we got those green signal, next challenges that we faced was transportation. Whether it was train, it was bus, by road, by air, everything was so scary. So it was obviously with the help of commissionerate of police in each areas wherever our students were about to travel. And we used to have sleepless night initially when a few of the students joined in Pune, then in Chennai. Like they should reach in time, a vehicle should come down, because in our normal lives before Feb 2020, it was like anyone can travel any part of the country at any point of time. No division, nothing. Lot of facilities are there, they can stay, they can have food. But any small mistake was really a huge one. In those time it felt like. But if I see now, it obviously helped a lot of people to have digitized world, to understand it. People still had that old method of pen and paper. They learnt it over online. They had online certification. Even if we know, eSkill India had a tie-up with British Council, and they provided English teaching, improvisation of communication, provided them free e-certificates around, I guess, 1 lakh. So those all methods came down. And online institutes like Byju's, then Upgrade, Upschool, Unschool. So lot of them also made business. It's not like everybody was falling down. There were companies who quickly adapted the method of work from home. They worked day and night as well. We know, like in placement, for a recruiter, how much it is difficult for conducting an interview, and that is online. He or she needs to understand the candidate over online. They don't have face to face interaction. They have to conduct 3 to 4 rounds of interview. So it was really difficult, and everybody adapted it. It's not like anyone escaped from the country. I guess India is a first and foremost country to really adapt it very quickly. Maybe it's in the blood of all the people that we are familiar to any kind of circumstances, may it be summer, winter, rainy. So that may have helped. And students, yes, may it be 10th standard kid wearing for his 10th mark, may it be 12th standard student who is worried about the exams, then the marks, where to go, what to do. Then again, graduating student, how they will be placed, which company they should go into, or how did they find a job in this scenario when there is a lot of unemployment. But as of for now, in happy new year of Jan 2021, I don't think it's really difficult for any student, any candidate anywhere in the country to find a job. At least there are a lot of various methods. And for learning, it is never like you can't go ahead with a physical mode of teaching, or it in an online mode of teaching. It is obviously we learned lot of things. And online, if you ask me, as coming down from placement or institute, online is the best method to teach, because at one crowd, one faculty can impart the education to a lot of candidates, even 100 plus. And controlling is also, it depends on the online platform you choose. There are a lot of options, and you get to know the parents. Students also find different timings. Now what, for example, if we are keeping 6 hours of class, 2 hours they can give it to for internship, 2 hours they can do their any regular studies, or they want to have some extra skills, and rest time is there, and there they can enjoy or do get engaged into their entertainment. So I don't think pandemic is a setback and to cry behind. It is obviously a time to learn and to explore, because once the market is opened in full fledged, there will be a lot of opportunities, and that point of time everybody should be having an equal amount of skill to showcase. Thank you.
Thank you, Gayatri, for your optimistic note, and good to see that you have talked about that there is a lot of opportunities in the market for employment. So that's a good news. Let me go back to Sahil now, and like as you heard that there are mixed signals coming from the panelists, and some have highlighted that there is a um, challenge in recruitment right now. Job opportunities have shrinked, and our economic growth rate has been massively hit in these times. So, and that is going to, of course, bring a pressure on placements. And of course, as you mentioned, that whenever that economy grows again, it will be again a good time for recruitment. So how do the institutions adopt to this rapidly changing scenario in placement, which is like many sectors are really badly hit. Some of the sectors are opening up and growing. So, Sahil, your perspective on how do you see the emerging employment and placement scenario?
Sure. So I look at this from two or three perspectives, right? The first one, needless to say, let's break this down. Let's look at it from an employer standpoint first, and then we look at it from an employer or candidate standpoint. Those organizations that were sitting on cash-rich organizations, they were carrying a lot of people with them, which essentially means that they valued loyalty over competence. And now when it started hitting bottom line, they said, okay, we need to survive, we need to sustain, right? And that's what they ended up doing. And they started seeing how do you really cut costs. They cut various other costs, and some of them actually brought down to even human costs, the salary cost. That was one aspect. Then there were other organizations who were conservative in their approach. They didn't have too much of a challenge because their overheads were not very high. They knew that their top line will come down, but the bottom line will not significantly come down, right? And the third kind of organization is what I call the startup ecosystem, which a lot of people had a lot of dreams and got into the space of startups but never expected. Like a friend of mine started his cafe, left a very, very well-paying corporate job and started this cafe in January of 2020. Put in a lot of money, did up the whole place, spent lakhs of rupees, and 3 months later, boom, right? Now, where is that guy going to really work? He's employed some 10, 15 people. He's got some nice chefs who is from ex-Taj, so on and so forth. He has to pay them salary, otherwise they're going to go away. But now with November, December hitting in, he's again restarted, reopened, and January now things are getting better. But I'm saying you have to have that kind of ability to sustain. And these are the various segments of what I call the target group that would be able to take a call on when they look at employability, so on and so forth. Having said this, on one end of the spectrum, which is corporate India in the startup ecospace, in the MSME ecospace, and more importantly, in established organizations, even multinationals, right? Let's flip this across on the other side from an academia perspective. And this is my favorite dialogue to say, anybody who is doing a course in management, it is a very, very simple demand-supply equation, right? What is the demand? What is the supply? Forget COVID for a moment. The demand is very less, supply is crazy, okay? And therefore, the imperative for students to say, while all my academia institutions are teaching me all that I need to learn, am I really building the skill sets which are going to be used for the jobs of tomorrow? So step one, if you're a student listening to this, you need to be able to figure out, by talking to people with a lot of World Economic Forum research and otherwise of publications, what are the jobs of tomorrow? Because if you fight World War IV with the tools of World War I, you can imagine what's going to happen. I'm not even talking about World War III right now, right? Because that's the pace of change that we're really talking about. So therefore, coming back, what are the jobs of tomorrow? Number two, there's a huge difference between knowledge, which you will get at your academic institution, and the skills that you are honing. And therefore, what are the skills that are required to perform the jobs of tomorrow? And number three, like they say, kindness. And you may sound slightly philosophical, but kindness, being on time, being obedient, offering respect. These are simple attitudes. These are ways of being. No one needs to teach you those. You either have them or you don't have them. How do you really keep those intact? Because in the future, that's going to be something that differentiates. If you don't know something, do you put your hand up and ask, or do you wait for the last minute and then say, "Mere se nahi ho raha hai"? Simple attitude. And these are going to be key differentiators. Now, when we get into the new world, you'll have to marry the three kinds of organizations that I spoke about, the aspirations of the three kinds or segments of students who are people who either need a job, people who want to do a job, or people who want to do something on their own. And as they create all of this, the marriage between the two is going to be very important. And just to lighten the atmosphere a little bit, all of us know what's happening to marriages in India today. All of us know what are the alternates available to a marriage that a lot of people are choosing in today. And most importantly, all of us also know what's happening to the divorce rate in India, because if divorce no longer is a stigma, why do I want to waste the rest of my life being with someone who I have no connection with? And if you pick up each of these examples as analogies to employability versus employment, I always say employability in India is never a challenge. The question is, are you employable? And if you are not employable, don't go around blaming your placement officer. Don't go around blaming your professor who didn't teach you the subject well. Sit back and reflect. Is it your life or is it their life? And if it is your life, what are the 10 things that you're doing to connect with people, to collaborate, and to also start thinking about tomorrow, today? Back to you, Dr. Gupta.
Excellent. Sahil, thanks for highlighting this, that it's your life. And you also highlighted that things are changing dramatically. You are talking about World War IV, not about World War III. So very, very apt points you have raised. And let me reach out to our speaker, Dr. Jitendra Kumar Mishra, Director of Jaipuria School of Business, that how are you seeing that the jobs of tomorrow and the skills of tomorrow gets imparted, and how is the institution which you are part of evolving and changing in this new VUCA word, which Sahil actually mentioned in the beginning. So over to you, Jitendra ji.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, and thank you, Sahil, for bringing again a new perspective and giving a very fancy, if I say, example, in fact, from marriages, which I think the youngster will surely be able to relate quickly. So at our institution, we are aware that the jobs of futures are going to be completely different. Before pandemic itself, we have started talking about the disruptions, which were almost at the verge of happening on account of Industry 4.0. If I could say, if I can take the liberty, this pandemic has brought it much closer. Was what was about to be disrupted on account of Industry 4.0 has advanced. It has happened. A part of it has happened early. So we have all seen that technology is going to play a much bigger role than what it was doing earlier. Our resistance to technology has reduced. Our acceptability for technology has increased greatly. And also we have started seeing with the mix of this technology becoming technology acquiring a larger space in overall workplace and job process, as well as the disconnect between the human, that was emotional part. So, with all that insight and foresight at Japuria School of Business, we have got technology embedded in our curriculum across. And one thing I must appreciate and put on record that during this pandemic, while being at home, a lot of students were very happy taking various online courses or undergoing technological skill development through online mode, and that has been one good part at the part of the students as well as at the part of the institution, that they have become more technologically proficient. They have acquired the skills, they have done the certification, and looking at the challenge, they have tried to quickly upgrade their technological skill. So that was one part which will surely take them forward in a better way to the next level for the jobs of future. Secondly, we have got one unique thing at our institution. We have got a course on socio-emotional learning. So every student has to go through a series of input, a series of intervention where they try to understand themselves more at a deeper level as a human being. They are sensitized and they are being trained to deal with the issues that comes at the workplace or otherwise also in such kind of challenging time. So this input, this course on socio-emotional learning is one differentiator that make the student more aware, more prepared, and more responsive to the various changes. They don't shatter easily, and they have that resilience and that bandwidth to wait and deal with. So these were the two things. Additionally, we have got a lot of emphasis on design thinking, problem solving, and going for social internship more than the commercial internship, business internship. Social internship where they try to understand the social issue and address while being on campus. That help them thinking differently and going deeper, more from a solution point of view. That if there are challenges at a given part of society or in the community or around, how can they work out a solution? It is not always driven from profitability point of view, but more from an impact point of view. So if I can quickly count on, I will count on these three differentiators. One is we have got technology embedded across the programs. We have got socio-emotional learning as a key part of the entire program. And third is design thinking and innovation, more to solve the social issues and create an impact than to solely look at the profit part. So these are the three things that our students go through, and I'm sure that that will make them stand out when they go to the corporate world. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Jitendra, for highlighting these courses which make a student much more employer friendly and much more change friendly in the new uh, and, and dynamics emerging in this employment scenario. So let me request Arvind Kumar Sharma from KIET Group of Institutions to highlight some of the initiatives which your organization, your institution is looking at yeah, in this regard.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Ravi, once again. So I'll quickly read out some of the 7, 8 initiatives which we have taken in the month of April and May, in particularly, because the major effect has come immediately when the lockdown has happened in the month of April first week. So we were about 70% of our placements by that time. So a lot of companies were planning to visit in the month of April. That has been already ceased for their visit. The students have gone to the respective homes. The major effect has taken on the internships. So as we are the institution which has adopted the AICT released internship policy of 2019. So there are 3,535 students who are affected for the physical internships. So the first initiative which we have taken in the month of April last week, so all internships to be converted into the digitized mode, and we have named these internships into two categories in particular. So as AICT internship policy says, the internships can be if students take up any challenging problem, that can also be considered as the internships. So we have designed two CPIs. CPI is challenging problem as internship phenomena. And we have designed two categories of CPI-T and CPI-D. So CPI-T is for a technology business incubation center, which we are running successfully last 15 years. And challenging problem as internship at the department level. The respective department of the student have given them the challenging problems, and students have started working right from the month of May, because exams were postponed from May to July. So this was the first effect which has been we have taken up very seriously, and I must compliment to the proud academician Dr. Mishra, and all thanks to the academia actually, the particularly the faculty members, because April was the month when everyone were doing the MOOCs program very diligently. The classes have been delivered using a lot of platforms like Zoom and the other platforms of Google Meet. Very successfully MS Team. All things have been converted into the online model. So this has helped to the placement department, because every single student of the KIT group of institutions were well settled with the minimum infrastructure for the IT, so that student can start work from home, which is a new normal, WFH. So once the academy has set up the basic need of appearing into the interviews, joining, onboarding from work from home. So what we have done is, we have, as Madam Raut also said, there were certain industries which were growing in the time of COVID-19. So as a team of placement, we set together on the E mode again. So every day we used to have a discussion of 3 to 4 hours, and to identify the sectors which are growing under COVID. So edtech companies like Byju's, Vedantu's, Unacademy, and then so on. So we found about 20 companies were in the hiring mode. We are very happy to share that one of the recruiter called Byju's have picked up about 50 plus students with a package of 10 LPA. And students were so happy to joining these companies also, because a lot of profiles are available for all across computer science to the civil engineering student into these edtech companies. So the another basic aspect of this pandemic or this uncertain time, that is the communication with the students. So what we did is, we have arranged a town hall on 5th of May 2020. And this town hall was among students, alumni, parents, and the academy on placement team. So 5-6 stakeholders were there on the town hall, and it was a free form discussion. No formal discussion has happened, but only to make the student community resilient and to be confident, so that every single opportunity, as we said, it was a paradigm shift for a new normal. And that was the time where students should hone up their skills to strengthen their ability, so that immediately once they face the interviews in the virtual mode, they are successful. So this was the second major decision we have taken. We had a communication through town halls. Then we went back to the alumni, because there were two cases. Alumni may also be the need of the placement team, because this COVID-19 has affected the professionals, those who are having 10 years or 15 years or 20 years experience. So we have gone to the alumni also. There are 16,000 alumni of KIT, those who are working across the globe, across the sector of the industry. So we have went back for the help and to take their help as well. And I'm very happy to share that approximately 7,900 students of our pass out alumni are connected with the placement team and with the campus. So for their opportunities into their respective organizations, we were able to create about 50-60 job offers through the alumni cell of KIT. Then the strength which we have, every 30 student of KIT has got one student placement coordinator. In short, we call them SPCs. So as I said, communication was the key. We had a WhatsApp group of these SPCs of about 40 students, covering 1,200 students of final year. So we were communicating very frequently with these students so that to keep their confidence high. And I'm very happy to share that on those initial 70 days, starting from April, May, and June 15th, so all 70 days, we have about 80 companies and 100 plus students got the job offers by implementing these 2-3 initiatives. And the basic fundamental aspect which KIT follows is the asset, ASSET, because every individual student is an asset for our country. So we have the asset training program. So this is an abbreviation of aptitude, soft skills, English, and their technical subjects. So this is a very strategically designed 100 hours assets program. So this was an opportunity for KIT group of institutions to full-fledgedly implement this asset program to all our pre-final year and final year students. And I'm very happy to share that this asset program has tremendously worked with us. So the final placement has reached to 82%. So even which was the highest in last 3 years of our campus figures. So continuously we had all campus drives during COVID. Continuously we were communicating with the student, and to connecting with our alumni as well. So these were some basic things which we have taken initiative, and we are not that much affected as far as the number and the calculation of the placement is concerned. So the last line would be the momentum should not be stopped. So this was the phenomena of the entire placement team at KIT, and I'm thankful to my team members, to the management of the institution. And I must say proudly that our country has taken up, as Madam Raut also said, and Sahil also said, the resilience. So this was the key, and we were one of those country which has successfully handled this COVID-19, this pandemic situation. So I must compliment all the audience also, and I must wish happy Makar Sankranti. And with this, I take your permission to stop my words. Thank you,
Sure.
Dr. Ravi.
Arvindji, I think kudos to you and your institution for taking these out of the box initiatives in these challenging times to ensure that your students are taken care of and they get their placement through the alumni networks and many other steps you have taken. So kudos again, and it's a great to see that one of the highest placements you had in these situations. So let me turn to our next panelist, Rakesh Kumar Singh from the Bennett University, to learn about that. How did your university handle these challenging situation, and how it has evolved? How has the university evolved in last 1 year? I think COVID has been the chief change officer of all the organizations globally. So, Rakesh, over to you.
So, Dr. Ravi, for us, it was a very unique situation, particularly for me and my department, because incidentally, my first batch of undergraduate students was passing out. And we had close to around 350 students who were graduating from 3 streams: engineering, management, and then the third one was mass communication and journalism. So we were quite anxious about the whole thing, because as the situation unfolded during the March, we were not sure about the joinings. The good thing which happened with us was that fortunately we were over with our placements by the time the COVID hit. But we were working on, and still were working on the internships, and being a new university, our numbers were growing. We had around 600 plus students who were up for internships. Almost half of were left, and it was a great dilemma for us what to do. But we quickly realized that the best way is to move to the virtual mode of internships. And we quickly did an exercise to identify a set of organizations who were least impacted during this period. We created a list of organizations where we could foresee opportunities coming our way. as far as internship is concerned. And the good thing is that we started very early on focusing on getting the virtual internship. We immediately realized, in fact, February was the period when we realized that probably, things may not be the same at it is appearing to be. And we quickly started on working on the virtual internships. And I was glad that by the end of April, we were able to finish off with all the internship. So what worked for us was identifying, and quickly accepting the reality, and understanding the reality. Had we delayed our, decisions of, understanding and accepting the reality, it would have hurt us a lot. Fortunately, better sense prevailed, and it was our second big batch which is going for internship. First batch was almost done for the placements. The second challenge was, about the joinings of the student, because you understand the aspirations, desires of the students who were graduating from the university for the first time. And in fact, the other important stakeholder, which is the parents, were very, very anxious. And I was flooded with calls, what will happen to their kids, because they were worried a lot. And this was an experimentation which they had done with the new university. They have trusted us. They have put their faith in a very new setup. And parents were very, very anxious. And fortunately, out of the entire lot, we had only one case where the offer was revoked. And in fact, we already had plans in place to ensure that wherever there is a revocation of offer, we have enough opportunities available for the students. So for me, what worked is immediately assessing the situation, accepting the reality, and working towards it. In fact, while the pandemic is deaccelerating, what still I suggest to the students is there are 3-4 important things which they should take into account while planning for their next campus hiring cycle. Is that first and foremost, the same thing which we did, we accepted and we understood the reality. If you're able to do that, then things will fall in place for you. Facing and recalibrating your aspirations, your desires, your choices, your preferences, very, very important at this stage. The times have changed. The competition has grown manyfold. Number of opportunities in the markets are less. So unless you calibrate your expectations, your aspirations, you will not be able to formulate a strategy which can lead you to best possible outcome when it comes to campus hiring. So along with it, it is very, very important for each and every student to improve upon their profile, try and learn new things, learn new technologies, as Sahil mentioned. Every day, we see that most of the jobs are getting redundant. Until unless you are well versed, you are aware of the new opportunities coming your way, you'll not be able to prepare, and subsequently, it will be difficult for you to cope up when the actual D-Day comes. Second important piece of advice to the listeners and especially the students in the audience is crisis, no crisis, highly skilled individuals will find a place for themselves in the organization. So upskilling is important. You need to learn new things. You need to learn areas which are upcoming. You have to have specialized domain knowledge. Most of the feedback which we get from the recruiter is fundamentals are missing. So advanced level knowledge is missing. So how do you do that? So it is important for you to acquire specialized skills, specialized domain knowledge. This will give you upper hand. Third important thing which Sahil also highlighted is, and Dr. Mishra also highlighted, networking is very, very important. In your own respect, you need to create a visibility for yourself. We have a very important tool available with us. Your LinkedIn presence has to be very, very strong. Try and make most of it. Last but not the least, one of the other important way to showcase your skills is to part in hackathons, your case study competitions. There are a lot of virtual competitions which are available if you do web search, if you participate well. This is one way which organizations are trying to identify talent pool from the market. And it is very, very important piece in early talent search for the organizations. So students should be vigilant of these, competitions which are appearing on social media. At our end, from the university side, we keep tracking all these events and we circulate amongst the students. So one of the important things which helped us was, keeping track of all the events happening around, especially where the students can be engaged. We have done that, and this has helped us sail through this critical period. So these are some of the areas where we worked. And at Bennett University, our first batch has passed out with flying colors. We had got tremendous response from the corporates. And despite being new university, the faith put in by organizations, especially who generally demand, rankings like NAC and IRF, they have still trusted at being new, not having any of the accreditations, and giving opportunities to our students. So this is what I had to say about the current situation.
Great points, Rakesh. Glad to hear that how many new ways of doing things you had to look at when dealing with this challenging situation. Hats off to you, and especially like this was your first batch, which is so you had this challenge. So kudos to you, Rakesh. So let me ask Gayatri. I think Gayatri, you have already mentioned a lot of steps your organization took in dealing with the situation. Let me ask you that in this new year, new admissions are happening and a new year has begun. How are you seeing the changes in your university, and how has the COVID has uh, led to many of the new types of courses or new ways of doing things, which your university is adopting to deal with the changed scenario, the new normal or the new normal. So, Gayatri, over to you, and we are already, I think, past our time of the panel. So we will conclude after your statement is over. Gayatri, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So we as an university have a lot of courses, beginning with the technical to pharmaceutical, then paramedics, management, applied science. So what we saw as a new admissions into this batch, immediately our pharmacy and paramedics got filled up. It was like quite in 2 to 3 months time. The seats were full. Even there were a lot again lined up, but we can't also like ignore the rules that are meant for universities, so we couldn't take few of the candidates even they approached us. So as I said, if opportunity is dying at one area, then the other area it was flourishing. So if we look into the technical part, jobs are only always not in IT field. The jobs are in IT, product, manufacturing, services. So once you are able to counsel the students actually where he or she is fitting into, as I may not fit into any manufacturing belt, but I am good at something else, so I can counsel the students accordingly. What happens, due to pressure from parents, from relatives, from friend circle, students most of the time are not able to take their own decision. So there is our role. So we as a personnel from institute or university, we can guide them. He or she then gets to know where actually I fit into. Same it happens in case of training or placement. So lot of student apply in IT field, though they are not good at coding and programming. So we counsel them, if you are good at communication, why don't you try it at marketing level? And there is always a very antique thinking, sales and marketing means selling soaps. It's completely wrong. So it is always we, like from the industry or we from the institute, are two person areas who can make up the mind of a student and make up the career of a student. They completely rely on us, what we ask them to do, what we advise them, what we suggest them. And so, and hence we conducted a lot of webinar seminar talks from the industry, because there is always a gap between industry and institute, no matter how much you try to decrease it or diminish it. So we conducted the similar kind of talks, let any person from industry have an interaction with them, then we go for the placement. So similar type we have done with Steep Graph System, which is one of the leading 3D platform companies. So they had a talk on industry, uh, how they are into the PLM experts. Now student, for any student, they don't know what's a PLM about and how much relevant it would make in his or her career, but it had an impact. Immediately after that, a lot of kids got recruited into the company and they are now about to join. So for any batch who is getting admitted, or a batch who is about to graduate, that is leave the institute or university, it's very important that the academician take the lead to counsel them. It may be online, it may be through their parents, it may be telephonic, it may be face to face. So all these things are very much important. Later comes how he or she will be moving into. So then in pandemic time as well, lockdown or after it got unfreezed, for 2020 batch we are at now currently 1400 job offers. I will say, as a team of training and placement, it is each and everybody's job, and all the members of consisting of 7 to 8 members, everybody did their job. But the first and foremost responsibility or the important factor were students. So if they would not have cooperated, it would not have happened. Similarly, we always need to talk with them. If industry people, Sahil sir, he has already visited our university. We had conducted some STEAM conference. The craze he created among students, next level. Like there were around 39 panel members, but everybody was behind Sahil Nayak. Why? Because he creates an environment that student gets to absorb whatever he speaks. Likewise, we all need to adapt counseling them. Then only conversion of job offers or conversion of admission numbers, it would be like finger in tips.
Excellent points, Gayatri, and kudos for
Thank
taking a lot of new initiatives and ensuring that placements happen. So, let me request Sahil to switch on the camera and join us again. So we will at the like almost at the concluding part of the session, and let me request that each of the panelists can give your concluding remarks on how do you see the this year, the 2021, as the in terms of the placements and opportunities and the new skills which students have to learn, and new skills which the institutions have to impart. So requesting for brief concluding remarks for 1 or 2 minutes each, uh, max, from each of the panelists. So let me request Sahil to give your concluding remarks. Sahil.
All right. So, given that we're coming to the end of this session, and this is concluding remarks, we'll keep it absolutely concluding. So, very, very crisp and short. I think I'm a very positive person and extremely hopeful. So, 2021 is going to be a space where we will see a lot of positivity. We will see a lot of stuff coming back to normal, new way of doing things, hopefully a better way, so that the nature and the environment also doesn't really take too much of burden like we have been burdening in the past. But having said all of that, right, what does it mean for academia? Number one, hard work can never get replaced. I'm a firm believer of hard work. You can't just say, okay, I've signed up for an MBA program, I paid the fees, I'm going to go and do my अभी टीचर का प्रॉब्लम है या अभी प्लेसमेंट कोऑर्डिनेटर का प्रॉब्लम है. That's not the way it's going to be. The problem is, it's not a problem, but the opportunity is yours because you are building your career. People on the other side have built their careers with all due respect. They're doing well for themselves. They have arrived in life, if I may use that word. When you're 20, 21, 22, gaining higher education, you are arriving in life. And that is the difference. Point number one. So point number two, water everywhere, talent very difficult to find. Okay? Which really means that a lot of more people are going to get educated. Batches after you and after you and after you will keep passing out year on year. The question is, are you going to remain relevant? So this whole concept of saying I got a degree and now I've got chips on my shoulder, and from day one I want to do strategy because I can advise the CEO on what the CEO needs to do the next time COVID hits us. Go take a walk. I'm not being condescending to anyone's intelligence, but all I'm trying to say is hard work, sincerity, putting your head down, learning the basics, learning the ropes become even more important. Point number 3, Dr. Gupta, I think what's definitely going to stand out is how do individuals start standing out? Because as I said in the beginning, demand less, supply a lot more. What is it that you bring to the table as a value add? Everyone's sincere, everyone's hardworking, everyone's loyal, everyone is committed, everyone wants to join your dream company. What is it about you that is so unique where not just organizations want to offer you a job, but more importantly, they're willing to pay you a premium? I'll give you a classic example. I have a friend of mine in the insurance space, and he is looking out for someone who really knows actuarial sciences. A rare skill, but not really difficult to get. But now what he wants to do is he's building a new team, and he wants someone who understands actuarial sciences, understands design thinking, and is able to customize an insurance product exactly based on your life stage, your age, your ability to pay premium, and your particular need. Of course, all of that in compliance with IRDA rules and all of that, which is fine. But hyper personalization of insurance. ये नहीं कि मेरे पास एक plan है, आप खरीद लो. He's saying, forget all the plans. I am willing to build a plan exactly the way Arvind Sharma wants it. So if Arvind comes to me and says, you know what, I want a plan where I'm willing to pay 10 lakhs as premium, but I want tuck coverage, but I want this kind of medical embedded, but I also want an endowment plan, but also, you know what, I'm really bored of doing this academia. I maybe want to retire and start my own institute and become a dean or chairman emeritus, and therefore I need so much money coming into me 10 years later. And Rakesh says, all of Arvind said is fantastic, but Sahil, 10 lakhs is too much for me. Can you give me something in 5 lakhs? And Mishra ji comes up saying, what, 5 lakh, 10 lakhs? I will give you 50 lakhs premium every year because I have a lot of money. But I want 50 lakhs to come back to me year on year as part of a repayment plan, like an SIP. The question is, do you have that skill where you can understand insurance, you can understand design thinking principles to put the user at the center, you can create prototypes and be an excellent marketeer? Now, I'm just giving you one live example. There are 100 of examples, which what I call hybrid skills. And sorry, Dr. Gupta, you said 2 minutes, but I'm taken 3.5 minutes. I wanted to give this example. But I think if you're able to build hybrid skills for the future of tomorrow, don't worry about getting that job. Worry about then building your personal brand, connecting with the right people who are looking for people like you. And then trust me, a lot of people will be willing to bet on you, will be willing to pay a premium. But if you're going to say, I have an MBA degree, give me a job, let's say, ठीक है, 25,000, 20,000, वही filing का काम, and you'll say, no, but I want to do strategy, mismatch. Because the times are such, the future is very uncertain, it's dynamic, we got to be relevant, we got to be agile, we got to be up our sleeve, and at every single moment ask ourselves, even whether we change a job or not, are we updating our CV every 3 months? And if we are not, something is not right. With that, I want to hand it back to you, Dr. Gupta, and the rest of the panelists. I'm going to just sign off because I need to jump to another event. But thank you so much, all my fellow panelists. I really enjoyed being with you. Students and all the audience, couldn't really see you, but thank you so much. And Dr. Gupta, it's always a pleasure associating with you, Krishna, and the entire team at Elets Digital Learning. Wish you guys all the very best.
Thank you, Sahil. I think being a great time and brought a lot of new ideas and themes here. So thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. Namaskar. Thank you. So let me request our panelist, Dr. Jitendra, to kindly respond to a question which someone has asked on the social media on this panel. People are watching and asking that how do we bridge the gap between the college campus and industry campus so that all are on the same platform? And this is a very, very important issue which has been, I think, discussed again and again. But briefly, if you can address it in your concluding remarks. Jitendra ji. Please unmute.
Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Gupta. It has been an ongoing question how to bridge the gap between academia and industry. And in a way, it is not that difficult question if I say, because we have created the wall between the two. If we have got the various panels to advise for the curriculum development. We have got the people with wisdom and experience to help the things being delivered to the mark, and we trust the given kind of background only, especially in the conventional system. So when we have been talking about university, the degrees were the main criteria to choose who can fit in which kind of role. We did not give practice much relevance because the system was designed in such a way. But time has changed, and nowadays you see the modern institution, including Jaipuriya School of Business, we have got the industry panel in place, and we don't take industry as something which is alien and apart from the institution, because they are the one for whom we are preparing the students, and they are the one who are going to appreciate or not appreciate the students once they join them. Why should not they be involved right from the beginning while we design the curriculum, to the partly because they have their own commitments, delivering it so that they get the nerves, industry people on the board to see that our curriculum includes the critical things and it doesn't miss out. Secondly, they remain connected with the student on other occasions more frequently, and get the nerves that how the students are grasping whatever they have been giving, and also get a course correction that the way they look at students or they expect students to do, what are their challenges. So create an empathy. And thirdly, making the internship or live projects more regular rather than making it only one internship once in a while, designing the assignment which are more industry driven, which try to address more of the industry problem, involving the students in capturing the industry challenges, going to organization, documenting it, and making some case kind of things which become a learning for themselves in the entire process, and also become a kind of discussion tool for others. So there are variety of ways to do it and keep it simple. Once we keep very ceremonial that industry is something which is very different and they have a very limited role of recruiting the student, that gap become very natural. We need to change this mindset that industry is not only a recruiter. Industry is actually one which is going to deal with the talent we are preparing for a much longer time than they are there with us. The students remain with us for a limited time. They remain with the organization for much longer time, and they have to grow over there. So they should be becoming partner in the entire academic process rather than being an outsider. So if I can quickly count, one is that they should be on the board for designing and curriculum, conceiving the program. They should be called to interact with the students so that they can get the nerves. They can also understand what kind of students are and how do they think. Thirdly, they should allow, or we should try to reach out to the organizations to identify their problems, to see that whatever challenges they are facing directly or indirectly, and develop some kind of solutions to address them in whatever way possible. So these may be the ways which doesn't take much from us, and that doesn't bother industry, that is unmanageable, and it can solve the problem. Thank you.
Sure. So let me request all other panelists to give your concluding remarks, and we are almost at the end of this session. So requesting that one or two lines each from each of the speakers to conclude that how do you see the placement and employment changing in the new year. So, Rakesh, over to you in one or two lines. We can conclude.
So quickly, again, I will reiterate three things. Understand and accept the reality. The early you do it, you will be able to cope up with the situation. The situation is going to change, certainly for good, but yes, challenges remain. Second is that you need to upskill yourself, learn new technologies, specialize in your domain. Third, participate in as many as competitions possible. This will help you create your own brand identity. There are a lot of hackathons, case study competitions, participate in seminars, etc. It will help you. Last but not the least, networking is core to your, again, creating a brand identity for yourself. Be present on social platforms, especially the professional ones like LinkedIn, and proactively reaching out yourself to the organizations of your choice is also going to help you. So these four pieces of advice, I'm sure, is going to help you tide away the crisis which we all are facing. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh. Arvind Sharma ji, over to you.
Sir, so thank you so very much. So I have got two things to share and two things to give the message to the audience. So there is one terminology which we are last 5 years we are following as the academia, that is MOOCs, the massive open online courses. So adding into the Rakesh Singh's statement about the hackathons, what I see 21, there will be a new concept called MOOCs, massive open online opportunities. So the young youth should not be worried about the opportunities. There are a lot of hiring hackathons going on, offering a package starting from maybe 3 LPA to 50 LPA. So there are ample opportunities available into these hackathons. So maybe down the line, 1 year or 2 years, or maybe within 2021, we'll have MOOCs as a concept, giving strength to the MOOCs. So MOOCs will lead to the MOOCs. And the basic fundamental aspect will remain the same as I said, asset. So all individual student is an asset for the country as their asset to their family. So this asset to be implemented to have the full understanding of the asset, that is aptitude, soft skills, English, and their technical domain, be it the management student or technical student. So this asset will give you the success into the MOOCs. So this is the message which I wanted to convey to all the audience, those who are listening to us. Thank you so very much, everyone, Dr. Ravi, all the panelists. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. I think excellent points about MOOCs and MOOCs and asset. Thank you, Arvind ji. So, Gayatri, over to you. I think you will be concluding the session with your remarks. So, yeah.
It was really a lovely session to hear out all the senior personnel in the institute, Sahil Nair, and especially Dr. Gupta. Thanks a lot for to all the audience. Only one advice: no pressure, no diamonds. And
Join.
you choose hard work and there is perseverance, patience. Listen now to have the results get into your own area. Please keep up the good work. Without hard work, without having a proper amount of skills, there is no success in life. So, all the best for the future, and please keep doing the hard work that you are doing. And thanks to all panelists for being with us today.
Yeah, excellent points, Gayatri, and thank you all the panelists. I think we have had a great session. It was an honor to be a moderator in this session, and thanks to all the audience for watching us live on the social media. If you have liked this session, please like and share it on the social media so that this knowledge which has been discussed in this session reaches to a lot more people. So with this, happy Makar Sankranti, happy Pongal and Bihu to all our audience. And with this, thank you and namaste to each of you. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, audience. Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.